Alright, YouTube, so I haven't done one of these in a while, so I figured I might as well. The reason I want to tell this story is because I had just tweeted something, and this guy got a hold of me who was involved in that story, but it wasn't about that. I'll get to that later. Maybe that can be a story in itself, too. I mean, it wasn't special, but... This happened the summer of 2011. I was 14 years old, and some of you may have watched the live shows. We need to do one of those again. But you'll know a guy, if you've watched them, you'll know a guy, you'll see a guy named Ryan. Ryan has been the person I've been friends with the longest, like a literal brother. I've known the guy for the better part of 13 years. I've known Ryan since I was 6. He's like my right-hand dude, you know what I'm saying? But we went to Ryan's house, and I'll say names, but it was Ryan, and it was me. It was Ryan's neighbor, who was always at that house since he moved next to them. He's a few years old or younger than us. His name is Riley. Joey, Ryan's brother. Andrew. Before I moved to this house, I lived on the same block as Andrew, so I've known him for some time before this. And Matt, who is also friends with Joey. And I think it was the last day of school. I was in 8th grade. Me and Ryan were in 8th grade. Matt would have been a freshman, and Ryan's brother and Andrew would have been sophomores. But it's night, and it's the last day of school for us. It was the last day. So it's that night. And we all gather to Ryan's place. And we all got this bright idea to go swimming at like 9 o'clock at night. And we used to always swim at night in the summer. The only drawback was like mosquitoes coming and sucking your blood. But for the most part, it was always a fun thing to do. I mean, there was a light over the pool, so there was really no safety hazards or anything. You could see everything. It was like a street lamp kind of in their backyard. But what always happened when and you gotta remember, I've always been kind of the smallest one in groups of people. I've always been either A, the shortest, or B, the skinniest. And, I'm not trying to make these other guys feel bad, but with the exception of Riley, who was probably my weight and height at the time, in proportion to me, to Joey, his friends, and Ryan, it was like me and Riley would be like throwing 2 otters into an aquarium full of like sea lions or something. And these guys, every time they got together in this pool, every summer, every time I've ever been in that pool with them, always thought it would be a great idea to start wrestling in the pool. And I don't mean like, grappling wrestling, I'm gonna choke you. I mean like WWE wrestling, no pile drivers, but I can recall several instances where I've been Batista bombed and my back hit the center of the pool on the floor of that pool so hard. But usually, being the sly kind of everybody dances under me, I kind of get out of way, silent type of guy I am. I was usually able to do a fairly good job of avoiding this. And what I would do, and this is a circular pool, is I kind of just go like this and watch all these big colossal titans beat the fucking shit out of each other. And basically I would just kind of sit there and hope, because usually this would happen when Ryan noticed me just kind of sitting back. he would kind of torpedo charge at me, and I'd run away, trying to run away in water. So it would never work out, and this is how, I would be destroyed by a bunch of 200-pound 16-year-olds at the time. So what happened, that night was special. Joey, Ryan's brother, notices me kind of staying away because, I'm not stupid. I know someone of my size and stature, with the exception, if I fought dirty or if I had like a weapon, I probably would lose. So Joey sees me and he immediately grabs me. But it was awful. Ryan and Joey, the brothers, have had years of experience in swimming, swim club, the local swim club, so they were pretty avid swimmers. They knew the way of the water. I had maybe 4 months of swim club, and then I quit. And I think that was the last organized sport I was ever a part of. Oh, maybe it was more like a year. But, yeah, that was the last organized sport I took part in. But, what happened was Joey sees me. He says, "Hey, what's that guy doing? He's trying to get out of it." And he torpedoes in the water. And I swear to God, this guy, I'm running in water. And Joey grabs, not my hips, and he's like torpedoing like this. Nails out everything, like grabs me right here. And I'm running for life now. I'm like thrashing in this water. If you've ever seen like an alligator lock its jaws on some crane on like a National Geographic documentary, this is what it would look like. And I pulled my leg, right? And this didn't matter to Joey, so my leg is all fucked up pulling, like, the calf. And, I don't know, most of you probably have had this when you're growing up. You've probably woke up a lot in the middle of the night, and your legs were pulling on you. This would happen until probably I was 18. But sometimes if I just overused a muscle or something, I would literally my leg would give out on me and start pulling. But I'm screaming now, and Joey, gets in position to do the Batista bomb. And my leg's pulling and everything, and he totally disregards this fact. I'm screaming, my leg's pulling on me, put me down. And of course, he botches this move, and his leg just his arm, his hand is like still like this on my leg, and it's pulling the muscle off of my femur basically. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you too, but that's a very uncomfortable feeling. So that happens, and I get up and I start screaming, and I'm like, guys, my leg's pulling, I need like a 5-minute break. And I got my 5-minute break. This 5-minute break, because again, I'm like the master of avoiding these type of things. My 5-minute break turns into like a 25-minute break. And then Joey notices again. He's like, "Hey, he's trying to get out of this again." He's like, "Come here so I can kick your ass." And he torpedoes. But luckily this time, my leg is still screwed up. It's sore, so if I move it, it hurts like a bitch. I use my left leg, and I just super jump out of this pool with one leg and land on that same leg. So I ran out of the pool. I jumped out of the pool. Joey sees this. And I kid you not, I don't know if you've seen those movies where someone just jumps up and then lands onto an obstacle. And what happens is, basically, it's like that. He jumps out of the water. I shit you not. Maybe he had his hands on the little pool walls to like kind of, but he frog jumped the thing. He gets out and he looks at me. He's like, I'm going to throw you into this pool. I'm like, no! So we're running around this pool, and this pool has a deck. The front steps, pristine condition. The back steps, old, decrepit driftwood, ready to collapse on you any minute. So I'm being chased around in pitch black at this point, because this light goes out every once in a while. And that was illuminating the pool. So I'm running up these steps, running down, running up, running down, running up. I think about the third time I run up these back steps, one of the steps, because it was like 2 pieces of plywood, but these things were decrepit and falling apart, probably from years of being drenched in pool water or something, gives out on me. I break one half of the step, and I go through it. And, okay, so I kind of land like this. So I'm being graded on this other step, and I basically saddle onto this other one, which is one of the more painful experiences I've had, because I'll get into that in a brief second. But I literally thought my leg broke, and my leg was in severe pain. It felt like someone took an aluminum baseball bat and had hit as hard as they could on my leg at least 3 times. But what happened is I had splinters on the bottom of my nutsack, so I was freaking out. But I didn't notice that immediately. These splinters went through my shorts I was using as a swimsuit, went into my ball sack, the bottom of it. And I'm not saying these are like huge splinters. They're just like those little tiny ones you get every once in a while, like on a finger or under a fingernail or something. But the pain, I'm sure that would have hurt in its own right. I'm sure that would have been very painful of an experience on its own right. But I think the pain from my shin was actually so great that it distracted me from the fact that I had splinters in my nutsack. And I moved and it felt weird. And, you know, I'm crying. I'm like, oh, hey, help, Ryan, get your mom. And I'm like, Rah! And Ryan's like, oh. And he like runs out. He's like, gets his mom. His mom comes out. I think Joey helps me out of the steps. And I'm like using, it's like that, you know, that wounded soldier thing where you got 2 guys and you're propped up on their shoulders. And you've probably seen photographs like that or something. But it was like that. I think the right side of me was Ryan and the left side of me was Joey. But this fucking Matt kid is cracking jokes the whole time. I'm like in pain, excruciating pain. And he's like, it would have been funny if Austin got out of there and his bones were hanging out of his right leg. And Andrew's laughing too. And I go in and Ryan's mom throws a pack of ice right there. But, you know, I didn't pick these splinters out until I got home, because I had my dad pick me up at that point. And after I went in the bathroom, got tweezers and plucked them out and kind of stopped the bleeding. It wasn't like bleeding, but it was bleeding. I went onto the couch downstairs. Like, downstairs is the main room. And I remember watching, like, horror movies and just kind of crying in silence for 2 hours until I fell asleep. But to drive this home, right here, I can't feel anything. You could punch this. You could probably swing a bat at this, like, right here. Like, I've hit this on, like, wooden planks and stuff. I can't feel it. I actually have indentations in my bone right here from that night. So, the thing about Matt, though, is he never let me live it down. And I knew at the moment I fell, it was like, this is going to be one of those things. I was like, I know one of these people here are going to hold this over my head for the rest of my life. And I made a tweet the other day because Antonio and Ryan and I got together, the people from the podcast or live stream, whatever you want to call it, we did a scooter race down my subdivision, and it's really hilly, right? So it was ironically going back up the hill, I was swerving out of control, and I took a huge spill, and I had a scar right here, and I had bruises right here and here. And I tweeted the other day as a joke, I was like, I've been thinking long and hard, I think I have to retire pro razor scooter riding. And then Matt comes, he's like, well, that wouldn't be the first fall you've taken. I said, yep. But every time I go to Ryan's house and Matt's there, he'll always bring up this. He'll be like, every time I walk upstairs to go use the bathroom, be like, don't fall up the stairs. Or, we'll talk about it, and I'm like, you know what are you going to do, Matt? What are you going to do? He's like, well, I mean, we could walk up the stairs correctly. But I don't think he realizes that that step actually gave out on me, because they had to I think they repaired the steps after that. They redid them. But yeah, that's about it, YouTube. Peace out.